Jamie here. Thursday, February 23, 28. On this fine afternoon, talk really quick about the markets. Some names I'm looking at, go from there. What a strange day. I wouldn't call it um, yeah, yields are lower, the dollar's lower, the VIX is up 2%, and it feels like almost like a bloodbath today. So it almost feels like the reset button's hit on some of these names. And I posted earlier. Um, 25 of the best stocks in the Russell year to date are down 5% over the last 2 days. Um, and they were up 50% year to date. So, well, most of them were. So it just seems like a reset button. I don't know. So you had Carvana earnings. I don't know if that took a nick in some of the high momentum names, the hype names. PLTR is getting taken on the chin under $100. It's starting to bounce here, but still down nearly 4%. You have Reddit, I guess its biggest day since early in its early stages of its after its IPO. Reddit's getting killed, even though strong numbers. And then you have AppLovin, and you look at AppLovin, they have the Bear Cave. Not a fan of the Bear Cave, but the Bear Cave came out with a short piece. Perfect timing because I think App was selling off anyway. Uh, because it seemed like, again, all these momentum names are selling off. And then he comes out with a piece saying they're forcing ads on people. He played games for hours, and the ads that were catered to him were not good ones. I'm like, oh my God, that's the bear case, right? It's great. I mean, yeah, but you take a look. App was probably made down anyway today. So it's pretty remarkable stuff. Not remarkable, but then again, you look the VIX. I mean, it's up 2% here. The SPY's still at the cracking on the door here at 610. So is this a reset before the next leg? Is this the start of the cracks? And then like I wouldn't say the final straw or the the proverbial nail in the coffin, but then you look at financials and right out of the gate, I'm watching JP Morgan, Goldman Spectacular, they're all getting destroyed. And JP Morgan's down 4% today. Goldman Spectacular is still down. Well, it's bounced, but it's down 4%. I don't see anything crazy. And I mean, Goldman Sachs is set to have its worst perform actually bounced a little bit since August, right? So again, some reset. Some of these names just hit highs yesterday. Uh, it's like everybody hit the button at once, or it was kind of like the snowball effect. Someone hit the button, the sell button, and then everybody followed suit. So hopefully find some support. If you look at the chart, I mean, it's not a horrible day here. I mean, the S&P is down 0.5%, and the small caps are still down 1%, but nothing too crazy. I mean, look at the SPY. Again, we're right at the upper Bollinger Band, so uh, that 613 area, but probably strong resistance. Hopefully we can find some support tomorrow and then work on maybe going to test 615. And then some other things. I always try to find silver linings. The amount of stocks trading over their 50-day moving average on the S&P actually climbing today, despite the S&P being down 0.5%. So riddle me that, right? Riddle me that, Joker. Uh, so, uh, yeah, it's a bizarro day, I guess is the best way I can call it. Uh, with that, of course, the names that have been doing well for me, the small cap names, all kind of taking on the chin today. So into some of those names quick. But first, some charts. I mean, look at Goldman Sachs. I mean, just it's been on a monster run. Well, especially since the start of the year. I mean, it's $550 stock. It was up 670 this week. And I mean, look at this candle on Goldman Spectacular, just remarkable. So I don't see any no news, no catalyst. I mean, it's not like there's any huge gyrations with yields and the dollar. It was funny as the market was selling off at about 9:30, well 9:45, yields were spiking. Yeah, yields were going down. TLT was spiking. Well, pretty bizarro. And then if you try and find catalysts for the move, oh, markets are selling off today because of Walmart earnings, but Walmart earnings were out early in the morning. Uh, and again, I think it's actually somewhat bullish. I mean, they reported a great quarter, just some cautious guidance. And that kind of like just goes with the flow with the retail sales number last Friday. All right. So that's the overall market, some the financials, some of momentum names, now some individual names. First, TripAdvisor. When I was doing my rant this morning, I just got off there. I didn't hear all the Q&A yet, so I got to go on and do the Q&A. I thought it was a great call. If you told me the results, I would think it would at least be green, if not solidly higher. I mean, the story that I've laid out back in at the end of December to January is still the same. Their segments, the Viator and the Fork segments, but the valuation just on the Viator is probably in excess of 2 to 3 billion at least. You look at the Fork, and I give the analogy of Open Table. That's probably a 1.5 billion valuation. So those combined is 4 billion. Trip is a $2.5 billion company with $1.1 billion in cash. So something doesn't connect. Maybe it's me not connecting with the fundamentals. I don't know, but I think there's the markets has a disconnect with the valuation, and I think it heads higher. So they talked about the merger, or at least the acquisition, retiring of those Liberty TripAdvisor beneficial stake. So they're not stakeholders anymore. So they're going to buy that, retire the shares, 27 million shares. That's going to happen sometime soon. I think once that happens, I think it heads into the 20s. So I was watching the chart. You take a look at the 50 days down to 1605. We got down to 1595 after about 10:30 or so, and then started to bounce. So thankfully, and all week and last week, I was looking to close my June strikes and hold the March 18s. And then the last day or so, I'm like, if we do get a flat day or a down day, the Marches are going to get taken to the woodshed, and the June premiums will probably hold up better. So thankfully locked in the rest of my March 18 calls for 100%, over 100%. And then I just held my freebie Junes. I had already locked in some of the Junes already for over 100%. So that was kind of the thought process there. So the Junes, I mean, they were still cut in half, but at times the March 18s, and do I have them up on the screen here? Yeah, they're 25 cents by 30 cents. So they're down 75% today, whereas the Junes are 65 by 50 by 60. So those are down 50%. So not down as much. So my June strikes are back to flat. And then as it started to find footing, I went and got some April strikes, which I've been trying to get anyway. So I think it melts higher in the coming weeks. Uh, Now I'll take some of the uncertainty and the sell the news possibilities with the earnings out of the way, and I think it's ready to go. So we'll see what happens with. I'm sure tomorrow there'll be some analyst changes. Hopefully, the story goes from being a declining revenue story, archaic story, to a hey, there's the core brand, which maybe might return to growth, and then there are two segments, which the Viator segment is going to be doing more revenue than the core segment probably this year. So rants for other days, great. Hopefully it bounces here. I was hoping it was going to get red to green before the close. We got 25 minutes. That's not going to happen. Tomorrow's a new day. All right, so that's Trip. And then some other names. So, iRobot down another 5% on the heels of yesterday's red session. But you pull it up, it was actually green for a second on the week. And you pull up the weekly chart. Right now it's not. I think it's 951 will be 950 is green, but still setting up nice. It was actually holding up at the 10:30 to 11 o'clock hour despite the market weakness, especially in the small cap. So I thought that was a good sign. And then sure enough, you turn your head for a second, then it starts to just melt lower. But holding its ground here. Still love this one. I'll continue to be patient, adding some strikes. Teladoc all the way down to the lows. So yesterday, after that short piece came out at noon, it went down to $12. 11:30 today went down to $12 and bounced. So still down nearly 8% this week. I think no today I think it's down 10% this week. It's been a massive run. It has earnings next week. I was going to get some April strikes. I'll probably just sit on my hands there. Um, Win rallied with Bob and I guess the rest of the China names, China ADRs. Consolidated at about 10:30 down to 92, and then boom, all the way up to 94.20. The rest of my 95 strikes were up over 300% at times. In hindsight, maybe I should have locked a couple, but I don't have too many left, so I held on to them. Sure enough, it pulls back. It's still down here at $93. Still like win for a move into the hundreds, but it's been frustrating to trade this week, so I'll probably just look to close the rest of my 95s tomorrow and then possibly revisit. What else to say here about Roku? I mean, Roku's up 25% year to date, but it's just frustrating. So sitting here almost flat on the session, was green at 2 o'clock. I'll probably put that on the not trade list for a while and then revisit. Trying to think of some of the other names here. I was looking at Pool. So Pool reported earnings this morning and was kind of like a mixed bag. Guidance a little weak, but the stock gapped, then reversed, then gapped, then ran back up. And I was trying to get some spec calls, and the 360s were expensive for the premiums that expire tomorrow. So I passed. But maybe a name I revisit in the future. Don't forget also you have Berkshire Hathaway they added first time, but they got a stake the previous quarter, and then this current quarter when the filings came out for the hedge funds, they added to their pool stake, I think in excess of 100% of their initial stake. So I'm not saying that that's the be all end all for the direction of a stock, but if I'm going to be playing odds and historicals, probably good bet to go in the direction of where they're nibbling some position. Similarly, they did what happened. They got a big stake in Ulta or added a stake in Ulta. Ulta spiked, and then the next quarter they got rid of the stake. So to me, it's a good sign that they got a stake in pool, and now not only did they not get rid of it, they added to it. So don't be surprised if I add some pool, and that kind of is in line with my one of my top 5 stocks, which would be swim. At some point, I'm going to get some calls in swim. If anybody, uh, if anybody saw, sorry about that, folks. So Remitly, one of my top 5 stocks for 2025, had earnings yesterday. Was it this morning? Huge beat. Stock was up near 27 bucks. Actually went red to green today. At some point, I got to look some calls there. Lots of price target raises this morning, all the way up to 33 bucks. Very bullish on that name. Weave is another name. I think Weave might report after the close today. It's just moving so slow. Do I have this up here? Do I have? Yeah. Reports after the close today. So definitely want to watch. Weave's the ticker. That's a great story. If you haven't seen Weave, medical offices, vet offices, it's kind of like the Toast, right? TOST, which does all the brick and mortar, like restaurants and retail, things like that. The Weave is like the other side, the healthcare side of it. You know, mom and pop dentist office, massage therapy, whatever, all those things. So great story there. Oh, there's Roku went green. Oh, last but not least, here's Edit. And Edit's down here at $2. You know what? I would do what I did yesterday, 9 more times on a name, and one of those times is gonna, or at least more than that, it will have a huge multi-bagger opportunity. Did not want to miss out on continuation here on Edit. Still plenty of time on the calls. They haven't announced their earnings date, but it looks like it's going to be sometime at the first or second week of March, so the call should encompass that. And it was up 80% today. It's down 36% here today. 80% yesterday, over 80% today. It's down 36%. So giving back most of those gains. Still like this one for upside. I'm not going to average or get any more strikes there. It's kind of like it was a spec trade, but kind of disappointing there. And Redfin. So Redfin almost went red to green just a little while ago. It's back here at 870. Still love this story. I'll continue to hold my March strikes. And that's it, folks. Have a great day. I'll be back. Also, I might not be around in the morning between the open. I can't remember the last time I haven't been in front of Old the Terminal for the open. So tomorrow might be one of those days. I'll keep you posted. Everything you won't even notice a little bit, but I'll be in and out in the morning. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great afternoon. I'll be back rock and roll.